July 30th, Nib95 made this post about the fiscal year comparisons and so on and so forth with PlayStation and such, talking about overall revenue, hardware revenue and such. And I see a sleight of hand about to happen here. Also, another person who's been taking into account what's been put out here, Morpheus X, caught that because Nib comes up on this podcast, and I think he mentioned something about it. I'll show you what I think is, the correlation going on here. So this user, Joseph, this is someone who was trying to make fun of you Xbox people. He says, I thought Xbox said MAU is the most important. Despite having almost 5x more MAU, Xbox is still behind by almost 10 billion in revenue. And this person, X713, said, your daddy, Sony, literally recently said they're pivoting to focusing on MAUs. Now, are you intentionally blocking out that fact? They want to make more money, and MAUs lead to that. Xbox's MAU counts towards that, and guess what that means? Money. And I remember this MAU conversation. Another PlayStation fanboy insulted me when I said this and blocked me. I was like, bro, what did I do? I literally just told you what PlayStation said themselves. But here's the sleight of hand. Nib95, I think you attempted to do something that I've also seen another person try to do, Reforge Gaming. We'll talk about these things, and I have to put the names there because I don't want to go ahead and say, oh, well, some random person. No. This is what these guys are saying, these two gentlemen. You said they tend to do and say that after the midpoint of a generation when install is high enough. Now that is very strange, since they go from wanting to build a large install to wanting to increase engagement and ARPU from it. Huh? Wait. I thought that was what exclusives were supposed to do, to bring in more install so that ARPU goes up, and has always been a thing consistently because gaming and network service is where the money has always been. They're even farming ARPU from PS4. So I went back and I read the article that Nib95 posted. And what I saw was, in the article, they talked about there are mitigating factors to affect the console cycle on revenue. The business model used to be business to business royalty-based model, but now it has shifted to direct sales to consumers. Hardware sales are still important, but the number of monthly active users is getting more relevant alongside PlayStation Plus subscribers and how much time they spend on Sony's services and consoles. Therefore, according to Yoshida-san, the axis is shifting from hardware to user base. On top of that, after the purchase of a game, users can purchase items or content within the game itself, and the proportion of those sales is increasing. Now, I then put a screenshot of another article that says PlayStation is shifting its business model to something that aligns more closely with its live service ambitions, its CEO Lin Tao says. Push Square reports that Sony's recent earnings call, Lin Tao says selling units was the focus. But now we're focused on monthly active users. The management is focused on engagement and MAU. This is leading to profitability. So, Nib95, they never were moving to MAUs as their primary pattern in the PS4 era. This is a recent shift today. Trying to categorize it as something they do in the middle of the generation is weird, because all they did in the PS4 generation was acknowledge that this is the new frontier. What live service game did they have in the PS4 days, by the way, if they wanted to go MAU? Y'all want to try? You guys are playing game. I mean, come on now. So Morpheus X comments on this 3-minute clip, from Nib95 on the Crossfire podcast. My guess, and I've not watched this clip, guys. My guess is that Nib is going to go ahead and probably try to do this. Probably try to tell you that, oh yeah, it's because of the middle of the generation, just like Reforge did. Oh, they're now focusing on MAUs because, no, they're focusing on MAUs because it's the primary driver for growth. Now that they've established a live service games developer, Destiny, and pulled in Destiny into their ranks, that's now part of their MAUs. They want to launch Marathon. Hope that project works out for them. And Helldivers is now successful. The shift is now in. That is a much more likely scenario, because even Lin Tao herself basically said the focus used to be, go read any article, go read anything. In an interview with the PlayStation magazine Push Square, Lintal clarifies the motivation behind the new approach and then says, previously, the emphasis was on selling units. But now we focus on monthly active users, she said about the company's gaming division. This is not something that they do in the middle of the generation because they now have install base. That one is a new tweak to what it is that they're saying. Listen here.
Obviously, they haven't done this yet. I don't know if they will or won't, but I assume they will release at least some single-player games on Xbox, but on a delayed strategy. Again, I could be wrong. We'll see. Why would you release that on Xbox to paltry sales, right? And risk cannibalizing ecosystem and potentially mindshare, like the.
Why would you risk porting to Xbox for paltry sales? Now, what data does this cat have that there are paltry sales on the Xbox console? Did Elden Ring's numbers not prove to people that you're going to see similar cadence as to how the gamers accept games that are good to them in the RPG category or in the shooter category or in the adventure category that are multiplat? Has Matt Piscatella's data not taught us anything that PlayStation and Xbox gamers are largely playing similar titles? I mean, if I go ahead and let me go ahead and point it out and see what the differential is between these two demographics on the two different consoles, I think I might be safe in saying that we're going to see a very similar trend. I think anywhere, let's check it out. Call of Duty, Fortnite, Roblox, top 3. 2K25, GTA 5 Remastered, and Marvel Rivals in the case of PlayStation, Minecraft in the case of Xbox, top 6. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, Game Pass launch, Cyberpunk 2077 in this category, EA College Football 26, number 9 here, EA College Football number 10, Marvel Rivals number 9 in Xbox, Marvel Rivals number 6 on PlayStation. So what kind of paltry sales are you talking about and what kind of mindshare are you talking about? Mindshare is in these platforms. In fact, these consoles have now become the gateway to the new platforms, and the platforms don't necessarily matter as much as people just want to go in and play their 2K game. If you give somebody 2K on their mobile phone, they'll play it on their mobile phone. In fact, it's actually much easier in that scenario for them because they can play it basically during their lunch break. They can do whatever it is that they want. Right?
The optics of it as well. Well, I think it might.
Optics. If you don't have money, the optics are way worse than some people trying to make sure you keep your games exclusive. That's the worst.
Might be, and again, I could be wrong. I'm just going by what PlayStation themselves say and the data. Again, we've talked about this before. PlayStation keeps telling us that their strategy on PC is not just to get additive sales. They keep telling us they believe it is bringing in PC gamers to PlayStation 5, right?
They never said that. Herman Hulst says that we put our games on there in hopes that the PC gamers would play sequels or sequences. He made a mistake. He first said sequences and said sequels. I remember the quote. Tom Warren posted it. It was May of last year. And that's why the entire news came out and said PC gamers that waited all these years for Kingdom Hearts and then waited for it to leave exclusivity on Epic Games would go buy a PlayStation to come play sequels. What's funny is after Herman Hulst said that, PlayStation launched, I think, 2 or so sequels afterwards. God of War Ragnarok, which is the sequel to God of War 2018, and then Marvel Spider-Man 2 in January of 2025. Yeah, no. You see, how is he warping things that are clearly stated?
They say when people can't be bothered to wait for games to come on their platform anymore, they don't want to wait 2 years or whatever it is, they PS5. Now, maybe it could be a secondary device. I'm not saying they switch primary devices, but essentially they're adopting a PS5 because they can't be bothered to wait for games anymore and they just rather play them on PlayStation. Now, there is data to support that. Generally, in these single-player tempo games, the PC sales are literally a tiny fraction of the console sales. Usually, sometimes they're not even 10% of what it sold on console, sometimes less.
Hold on. Is he saying that Yoshida-san is wrong? Did Yoshida not come out to say, I think it was a kind of funny podcast where he said, people are too harsh on Herman for doing remasters and remakes and stuff. But if you guys, and PC ports, but if you guys want to, see more single player games, You guys need to go ahead and buy these. Did he not say that putting games on PC is basically like printing money? Hold on. PlayStation executive Yoshida says, PlayStation games on PC is almost like printing money, says former exec Shuhei Yoshida. Huh. I told you a sleight of hand was on the way.
And that. So what do we conclude from that? Either PC gamers aren't interested in PlayStation bangers. I highly doubt that. They are waiting for them to be on PS5, or they've already played them on PS5. And again, if we look at the data, right, the last holiday quarter, record-breaking PlayStation quarter in history, 9.5 million PS5 sold. Nearly half of them were to people who never owned a PlayStation before, or at least had never used PSN, right?
Hold on. This data set is the most incomplete conjecture ever. There is nothing to say that these folk came from PC. In fact, I can make the exact, because they left it open. They were like, oh yeah, we got about 4 million PlayStations that were used by new people. Okay, 4 million children were not gifted PlayStations, right? Question mark. Oh, could it be that somebody who had a PS4 before probably left it to the dust, couldn't remember their PSN, decided I'm going to buy a PS5, used another email to log in. Oh, it couldn't be, right? We can throw, it could be maybe a Nintendo Switch user, right? Little Johnny had been playing on the Nintendo Switch all his life. He grew up and said, Daddy, buy me a PS5. Dad said, all right, little Johnny, you get a PS5 because, you're now 16. You can have an email. And little Johnny now got, how are they basically making it that it's PC gamers who left their rigs? Oh, I'm just going to abandon my rig. To the tune of 4 million when PC is growing at an unprecedented rate? This is nonsense. Morpheus X said this. You said, F's. Oh, Sony's recent earnings call, Tao says selling units was the focus, but now we're focused on monthly active users. The management is focused on engagement and MAU. This is leading to profitability. Sony is going after 500 million MAUs, not 30 million consoles. I'm tired of saying this. It's still not caught on. Protorock, MBG, VG, someone has to want to steal this and claim to have been saying it for years. Bro, I'm telling you, PlayStation fans will constantly do this. Protorock yesterday was making fun of the console sales of Xbox. I had to go back and pull the fact that PlayStation, when the Insomniac leak happened, right? They had to pretty much go, when they pointed out what Xbox was capable of doing, they never said anything about Xbox's number of consoles. Instead, they talked about all of where Xbox could deliver games and then claimed that their pillars were dated and behind the competition. That's why they're following. See, PlayStation fans, this is why every single PlayStation podcast you watch is PlayStation fanboys trying to talk you off a ledge. That's literally the theme. Oh, well, relax now. Don't get all mad and upset now. Now don't. That's all they're doing. Oh, well, I know people are mad. No, because they're misinforming you. Even when PlayStation executives are saying one thing, they're saying another. Oh, maybe PC gamers aren't so interested in the bangers. When the former exec's like, oh, we print money there. Like what? At least get the truth out there. They want everything. 500 million gamers with Xbox, them too. Of course, everybody knows this. Even the person over here saying this knows this. Because this guy is entrenched in, oh, it has to be exclusive. Oh, it has to be that. I told everybody, is Spider-Man going to net PlayStation more MAUs? Not exactly. Right? However, there's another target that's actually past MAUs, which is that 10% operating margin that they need to basically accomplish for Sony. If that 10% is not hit, they got to port a game to Xbox, whether it be a single player game or whatever is going to bring in that revenue. Doesn't mean they're going to now start throwing all their games there, but they need to target Xbox's MAU base as Xbox is targeting their physical console base to convert them into MAU base. That's what's going on. Those 3 million of you that bought Forza, you are now Xbox's MAU. They've literally put you on that list. That's what you became. When you buy Call of Duty, you're in their MAU. Minecraft, you are their MAU. And PlayStation is looking and saying, man, these guys are getting MAU from our own coffers. We got to find a way to get MAU somewhere. PC gamers looked at them and said, you region blocked freaking Helldivers 2, so they unlocked the region. They removed the region lock. Obviously, PlayStation PC gamers don't enjoy their bangers. The heck are you talking about? Where were PlayStation players when Helldivers 2 came out? This person says, Morpheus X says, Sony is going after monthly active users. Both companies view this as a major battleground in gaming, not how many consoles you can sell. How much time you get them to spend, which leads to them spending more money in your ecosystem. And Xbox has basically perfected this particular reality. Meaning you can spend money on your TV, something Stadia vehemently pursued. Xbox has just eased into it. They got you on an Amazon Fire Stick. They got you on a TV. If a refrigerator comes out that has access to Game Pass, you bet somebody would basically go ahead and get access to that. As we saw somebody playing Starfield in their Tesla. Do y'all remember? Do you remember that video on Twitter that somebody was, playing? There it is, Xbox Cloud Gaming in Tesla. There's the video right here. Here it is. Look at this. Somebody was in their Tesla Model Y playing Starfield.
A quick video about using the Xbox Cloud streaming service on a Tesla. Mm-hmm. I have a 2023 Tesla Model Y long range with hardware 4. Mm-hmm. Well, the hardware 4-bit doesn't really matter for this video because it's the same Ryzen chip that was in the.
Hold on, let's do it. See,
via the cloud, but there's a lot of other options. But this is what I have right now.
Here it is.
I think it's about 2 minutes.
MAUs everywhere. Xbox is sitting on all kinds of possibilities, and PlayStation has to get in on that. Nib95, I have no idea what you're talking about. I think all you're doing is, this is what's called, mischaracterization at best.
About that. I think it's 42 or 45%, I forget exactly. Nearly half of the people who bought a PS5 were completely new to PlayStation. So where are they coming from? They can't all just be new to gaming. Some may come from Xbox, some may come from Nintendo, but some obviously are coming from PC, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. Some obviously. How many is the sum? How many? I'm asking, how many is the sum? I mean, think about it. Like, okay, like I said, how many is the sum? It couldn't be that, some guys who probably abandoned their PS4 back in the day because PS4 sold so many, right? How many of them are actually active? How many of them are actually people who I had a PS4 back in the day and I sold it to another guy over there. I want to buy me a PS5. Some are coming from PC. To do what? I mean, what could have been their draw that holiday season, especially, which is weird because the Spider-Man holidays, the season where Spider-Man came out in 2023, Spider-Man 2, they didn't get that boost in console sales. It was the one that Astro bought, which sold basically nothing compared to Spider-Man. That's the one that they got a boost and said somehow they want to be like, So they just bought an empty PlayStation 5 to come into do what on PlayStation? I'm curious, like, to do what?
Yeah.
So then goes back to my point. Why are they releasing? I think it could be a similar strategy of Trojan Horse, where it's like, not only will we pick up additive sales on Xbox.
Oh, so now it's the Trojan Horse strategy. Something that was laughed at by people.
But we believe, right, if they're not moving away from Xbox, they're not even buying games on that platform because they're invested in Game Pass, maybe we can.
What? You have to, these are called mental leaps. You have to make them to get to the conclusions that you want. This is just all that is. Since they're not buying games and they're invested on Game Pass, my guy, you can buy games on Xbox. Game Pass is an option. I don't know where you see, this is, like I said, it's a sleight of hand that's in progress, and you cannot just let it just go like that. It makes no sense. It's just a sleight of hand. And I'm telling you, man, a lot of these folk that continue to attempt this, you're going to constantly see your work absolutely dragged or raked over the coals because you're saying all kinds of weird stuff. That's all.